After the devastating storm swept through Tuyanquang, entire villages were covered in muddy water. Children huddled under broken roofs, waiting for a miracle. Tu Tian knew it was time to return. The storm was the most powerful in over a decade. It tore through the mountains and left deep scars across the hillsides. Homes were reduced to rubble. Muddy roads disappeared under landslides. The once clear river turned into a violent brown current. On television that morning, the aerial footage was heartbreaking. Entire communities cut off, families stranded, lives changed forever. For most people, it was just another headline. For Li Tutian, the girl who was born and raised in those mountains, it was different. It was a call from home, a cry she could not ignore. As the images played, memories flooded back. She was only 7 when she lost her parents, abandoned, alone. A flood had swept them away and left her in the arms of strangers. The people of the village raised her. They gave her shelter, food, and love, even when they had almost nothing themselves. She grew up barefoot, running along muddy trails, fishing in streams, collecting snails and crabs to trade for a handful of rice. She remembered the freezing nights, curled up by the fire, whispering to herself, "One day, my life will be different. One day I will leave these mountains." Now, staring at the screen, Tian felt that same ache. The ache of a little girl who had once longed for safety, for love, and for hope. That morning, in the quiet of their home, she turned to Jack. Her voice shook as she spoke. "Jack, I want to go back. I need to help them. My people need us." Jack was silent for a moment. Then he took her hand, his voice steady and warm. "We will go, not just for you, but because this place deserves a chance to heal." Within hours, the plan was in motion. Jack made calls arranging supplies trucks and volunteers, blankets, food, clean water, medicine. Every box labeled, every list checked. Tian called the village, speaking to the elders. She wrote down every need. Families without roofs, children without shoes. Old men and women who had lost everything, but still smiled through their pain. By evening, everything was ready. They would leave at dawn. Before sunrise, the kitchen lights were on. Jack's mother, Mrs. Lee, had woken up early. She moved quickly, making breakfast. Fresh breadfruit, warm milk, and ginger tea for Tian. "Eat something before you leave," she said softly. "The road is long and rough. You need strength to help others." Tian held her mother-in-law's hand, her eyes wet. "Thank you, Mom. I just want to do whatever I can to help." Mrs. Lee smiled, her eyes filled with pride and worry. "Go. We will be here waiting for good news." Before they stepped out the door, she handed Tian a small bag. "Some medicine and candy for the children," she said. "Give it to them when you arrive. It might make them smile." The truck pulled out of the driveway and headed toward the mountains. The early morning air was cool. The trees along the road swayed gently in the wind, as if sending them off with silent wishes. Inside the truck, Tian leaned her head against Jack's shoulder. Her hand rested on her growing belly. She whispered softly, "Baby, we are going home. You will see where your mother grew up. You will feel the love in this place." Jack squeezed her hand. This time, he said, "We are bringing more than supplies. We are bringing hope." The road into the village was rough. Mud swallowed the tires as they drove deeper into the valley. Villagers were already waiting. Their faces were tired, but when they saw Tian step out of the truck, their eyes lit up. "Tian, you came back," someone cried. She hugged the children first, wiping dirt from their faces, holding them close as they clung to her like they had found safety again. Jack moved quickly, directing the volunteers. Food and blankets were handed out. Temporary shelters were organized. Medical teams were guided to the people who needed them most. As the hours passed, the village began to feel alive again. The sound of hammers echoed as men worked to rebuild broken homes. Children laughed as they unwrapped candy from the bag Mrs. Lee had sent. For the first time in days, there was light in their eyes. That night, the entire village gathered around the fire. The rain was still falling lightly outside, but in that wooden house, there was warmth and laughter. The elders shared stories of the storm, of the fear, the losses, and the courage it took to survive. Children surrounded Tian, their eyes wide as she told stories of the city and her journey. Jack sat quietly nearby watching her. The woman he loved. The girl who had endured so much pain but still carried so much kindness in her heart. Later that night, when the village had fallen silent, Jack and Tian walked down to the river. The moonlight reflected off the muddy water. It was quiet, except for the sound of the current rushing by. "This place," Tian whispered, "it may be poor, but it is rich with love." Jack nodded. He rested his hand on her belly. "One day our child will be proud," he said. "Proud to have a mother who taught them the meaning of compassion." When it was time to leave, Jack made a promise. To rebuild the school. To repair the bridge that had been washed away. To create a scholarship fund for the children of the village. As the truck drove away, Tian looked back. At the mountains, at the little wooden houses, at the smiles of the people she loved. The sun was rising, painting the sky in soft gold. With every mile, hope grew stronger. She knew this was only the beginning of a longer journey. From the destruction of the storm came something stronger. A journey of love, of compassion, of rebuilding not just homes but lives. And though this chapter had ended, the story was far from over. Their return had only just begun.